us a list of players we'll be inviting to camp.
This guy here is dead.
Cross him off, then.
We'd love for you to come to spring training for a shot at this year's club.
We'd still like to take a look at you at our spring camp.
Not sure I can make it by then.
Who is that?
Serrano.
What's his religion?
Voodoo.
Hey! Willie Mays Hayes here. Play like Mays, and I run like Hayes. How you doing? What the hell league you been playing in?
California Penal.
Don't you have any proven major league talent?
Now, I want to put together a team that'll help us relocate to Miami.
You want us to lose?
We've been losing. What I want is for us to finish dead last.
And the kickoff. Every time we win, we peel a section.
Corbin Burnson and Bob Uecker. Haywood swings and crushes one towards South America. Major League.
What a classic, man. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but there are a lot of good baseball movies, and this is definitely one of the best ones. Major League is a funny, hilarious comedy. Tom Berenger, Corbin Burnson, Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes, Rene Russo, Bob Uecker, directed by David S. Ward, who also wrote the film. It's just a phenomenal movie. It's very hilarious. Great sports comedy, and good satirical comedy, too. I like how the owner of this movie is kind of reminiscent to Mark Schott, the owner of the Cincinnati Reds, even though this character is more based off of George Frontiere, who ran the St. Louis Rams at the time. No, not even St. Louis Rams. They were still the Los Angeles Rams when this came out, and they didn't move to St. Louis until about 6 years later after this movie came out. But that's who the Rachel Phelps character, the owner of the Cleveland Indians team, is reminiscent of. But regardless how you look at it, it's a really funny movie. It's really one of the funniest sports movies ever made. Like, it's a movie that has so many great memorable moments to it. It's a classic movie. The sequels aren't as memorable. Controversially, I think I honestly like the third one over the second one, which is a really. It's hard for me to say that. It's hard for me to say that because I know the third film gets trashed on a lot, but so did the second film too. I mean, I like the third film better than the second one. We'll get to that one. We'll get to those sequels whenever we get to that point. But this movie right here is the classic one. This is the one that everyone should see. Major League, great sports comedy. Definitely check it out. Definitely worth it. This weekend also gave us another very underrated comedy featuring some very recognizable talent. Michael Keaton, Peter Boyle, Christopher Lloyd, Stephen Furst from Animal House. And that film was, of course, The Dream Team.
4 major league psychotics.
I never agreed with that diagnosis.
We're on a field trip to a ball game. When their doctor disappeared.
Run into one complication. Murder.
What'd you say?
Could you recommend a good clinical psychiatrist in the neighborhood? We seem to have lost ours.
Now,
We ran into a little snag out here. Somebody's trying to kill Dr. Weitzman.
I fear my doctor may have been seized by the Romans.
they're on their own.
Kind of wanted by the police right now.
Bummer. They're off their medication.
It's great to be young and insane. We gotta pull Weitzman out of the hospital before those 2 cops come back.
We are all naked in the eyes of the Lord. Would someone please take me back to my room?
Those 4 nuts are still rattling around somewhere. There's an APB out.
Look out!
We came to town to see a ball game. Now they want to give us the chair. Hold it. I love New York. Bring your kids. Have them arrested. Do some time in the Big Apple.
Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle, Stephen Furst.
This is crazy.
I can relate to that. I got news for you psychos. We're getting better.
The Dream Team.
Arise and walk, my son.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
From the director of Private Benjamin, who would go on to direct the 2 My Girl movies, The Dream Team is a very underrated comedy, I think. It's one of those movies that when I was building my DVD collection in the mid-2000s, I saw this movie in the stores. It was cheap. I figured it could be worth a watch, and I watched it. It was one of the funniest, most over-the-top movies I've ever seen. Like, I love the chemistry between the 4 characters, Keaton, Lloyd, Boyle, and Furst. I like their unique, distinctive personalities. I love how over the top the movie can get at times. it's just a funny movie. It's so insane. It's so over the top. Michael Keaton in particular is hilarious in this movie. He doesn't get a lot of credit for this movie, but it's just a fun movie. It's a fun movie. You also got Lorraine Bracco in this, who would later go on to be in Goodfellas and, of course, The Sopranos later on down the road. But yeah, it's a really funny movie. It doesn't get the attention I think it deserves. It's definitely worth a watch. If you can definitely check out The Dream Team. It's a very underrated comedy. It's one of the early movies that Imagine Entertainment did, which is of course the company that Brian Grazer and Ron Howard are associated with. And like I said, it's a very funny movie, very underrated movie. Highly recommend checking out The Dream Team. So, on to the next movie, and how about a little Jean-Claude Van Damme action?
Welcome to the world of the not-too-distant future.
Get going! Go!
A brutal gang is reshaping the world into their own vision of hell. And only one man can stop them. Jean-Claude Van Damme is leading the battle between good and evil.
Take him out.
As it's never been fought before. He's on a desperate mission. Cyborg.
Yeah, so this is in the movie based off the character from Teen Titans and DC and all that. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme in one of his first movies after he broke out with Bloodsport the year before. And, not really much more you could say about this one. It's a canon movie. It's a canon action movie. It's pretty much what you'd expect from canon. And, Albert Pujols directed this. He would go on to direct movies such as the Captain America movie from the 90s, Blood Kickboxer 2. He made 3 movies in '89. I don't think any of them were real successes, but except for this one, which apparently spawned 2 sequels. But, I can't really say much about this one. I haven't seen it before. So, I mean, from the trailer, it definitely looks like what you'd expect from canon films. It looks like an over-the-top action movie, martial arts film. And, like I said, that's pretty much all I got to say about that one. We got one more movie to look at, though. Dead Calm, which is not only known as the first real American debut for Nicole Kidman, who've been making movies in Australia for these years prior to that, but it's also made by the same team who did the Mad Max movies. This is Dead Calm.
Alone on a sea of endless calm. It was easy to imagine they were the only 2 people on Earth. But into their perfect world, there came a stranger.
Stand off! Tried to take her across the Pacific. Are you well? No. There were 6 of us. The others died 10 days ago. I'm going on board her. Can't do that. He's fast asleep. He waited an hour.
Dead Calm. A voyage into fear. From the...
So as you can also see there, some other notable names in this movie include Sam Neill, pre-Jurassic Park, Billy Zane, just coming off of Back to the Future. The director of this film, Noyes, went on to do movies such as Blind Fury, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, Sliver, other movies such as The Quiet American, Rabbit Proof Fence, and of course, Kennedy Miller is the company behind Mad Max and The Road Warrior. And like I said, it's one of the final projects Nicole Kidman did in Australia before she went on to become an international superstar, starting with Days of Thunder. Something I didn't know about this movie was that originally Orson Welles was trying to make this movie for a number of years, and even with a guy of his caliber and his celebrity, couldn't even get this movie made. And what they did here is really good. It's a really solid psychological thriller where you're just focusing on these 3 characters, this couple, and then all of a sudden this guy that comes out of nowhere, and then he becomes and it's a battle between trying to stay alive, trying to stay away from this guy from harming anybody. But it's a great movie. It's a great psychological thriller. It's definitely a very well-made movie. It has a lot of good tension to it. The story, I think, is very good. I will say the ending kind of cops out a little bit, but other than that, the movie itself is really good. Like, I definitely recommend checking this one out. Prepare to be a little disappointed by the ending, but overall, I'd say definitely give it a watch. I'd say it's definitely worth your time by watching it. Let's start off with Cameron Crowe's Say Anything.
Take out Diane Court.
Diane Court doesn't go out. She's a brain trapped in the body of a game show hostess. We don't want to see you get hurt.
I want to get hurt.
Diane Court.
Hello, Diane? Hi, Lloyd Dalbert, sir. I'm an athlete, so I rarely drink. Kickboxing. I heard of kickboxing, sport of the future? I can see by your face, no. My point is you can relax because your daughter will be safe with me for the next 7 to 8 hours, sir.
Hi.
Hey, Lloyd, someone's here to see you.
I need you.
You do?
Obviously, this movie really doesn't need a whole lot of explanation to it. Say Anything, of course, stars John Cusack and Ione Skye. It also has John Mahoney in it. Joan Cusack is also in this. It's one of Cameron Crowe's earliest movies. Like I said, there's really not much to talk about here. This movie is a great coming-of-age teen drama. The performances that John Cusack and Ione Skye give are terrific. John Mahoney is great in this movie. And it's just a classic movie. It's a classic romantic comedy. The dramatic elements work really well. This movie has some of the best memorable moments of any teen comedy ever made. And of course, you have the famous scene where John Cusack's holding the boombox over his head when he's looking out his girlfriend's window. Just a classic movie all around, man. Just a classic romantic comedy. One of Cameron Crowe's earliest movies that got his name out there. Just a phenomenal movie, man. I don't think I need to say anything more about that one. Say Anything is a true classic. It's one of the best movies from this year. And you just saw one of the smartest romantic comedies, the smartest high school comedies of all time. Now here's the mainstream version of that, and that is She's Out of Control.
Something's about to happen to Doug Simpson's little girl.
Happy birthday.
Dad.
Something swift, something shocking, something with a brand new learner's permit, something called
Spike.
Kyle.
Mickey.
I'm Barry.
I'm Sonny.
My name's Ted.
Hello. I'm Lester. My name is Still.
Dad, you can't stop life from happening.
Oh, no? I can sure slow it down.
Oh, yeah, how?
How? Total control. Total control.
Now, can one average American father put a stop to what Mother Nature's already started?
Sex. Is that all women think about?
Tony Danza, Catherine Hicks, and Amy Dolan. She's out of control.
Yep, She's Out of Control, the movie that made Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert contemplate ever wanting to review movies ever again. If you've ever seen the Siskel and Ebert review where they trashed this movie, She's Out of Control, they literally said that they almost gave up on film reviewing because of how bad this movie was. And I've been there before, man. I mean, I've seen movies where it's the closest I've ever been to being on this level of I so want to leave this job is whenever I saw The Spirit in theaters back in 2008. That's the first movie I ever walked out of the theater. It was the part where they killed the cat and you just see the cartoonish looking eyes in the sink. It's just like, I'm done. And I walked out of there. I got my money back. And it made me contemplate, thinking, why am I doing this? But you know what? They saw Say Anything later on this day, and they were still around for a good long time. And when you watch this movie, when you see it for yourself, you could see why this movie was just a mess. It's a mess of a movie. Tony Danza, the way he looks at his daughter in this movie is just... It's unsettling. It's really unsettling. It's really creepy looking, and all you gotta think to yourself is, what were they thinking when they made this movie? I mean, this is a mess. This is a bad, bad movie. Really bad movie all around. It's one of the worst movies of the year, and yeah, you can see why this movie made people want to quit their jobs at some point. But like I said, Say Anything came out on the same weekend. People saw that later on, and all is right with the world, I guess. So, how about a comedy that's not as bad? Not as good as Say Anything, but certainly better than She's Out of Control. Here's Disorganized Crime.
From the makers of Stakeout, meet Nick Bartkowski, safecracker.
Well, hello, Nick.
Max Green, explosives expert.
When was the last time you saw your optometrist?
Carlos Barrios, enforcer.
Don't do relatives.
And Ray Forby, car thief.
You right, gentlemen?
These four professionals have been summoned to Montana by Frank Salazar, criminal mastermind, for a very important assignment. Now, Frank's gang is organized. Frank's plan is ready. The only thing missing is Frank.
Where's Frank?
Where the hell is Frank?
Maybe he found a woman.
Maybe he got lost.
The problem is Frank is on the run.
I ain't going after him by myself.
Since Corbin Burnson, Reuben Blades, Fred Gwynn, Ed O'Neill, and Lou Diamond Phillips. The comedy about crime.
We got him.
We lost him.
We found him.
I'm gonna kill him.
Disorganized crime.
Made by the same team that made Stakeout 2 years prior to this. This movie is not a great movie, but like I said, it's certainly better than She's Out of Control was. I mean, there are parts in this movie that did legitimately make me laugh. I do like some of the slapstick comedy they throw in here. It's got a great cast: Fred Gwynn, Lou Diamond Phillips, Corbin Burnson, Ed O'Neill, Daniel Roebuck, Reuben Blades. It's not as good as Stakeout. Certainly, it feels like a movie that doesn't really have a whole lot of... It doesn't have a smart script to work with. Like, the heist itself is really convoluted, and there is too much of a resemblance of slapstick comedy, but at the same time, there are moments where the slapstick comedy does get a little chuckle out of me every once in a while, but other than that, though, Disorganized Crime is it's a mediocre movie. I've seen far worse. I don't think it's going to leave too much of a lasting impact with me, but that's just my thought on it. Disorganized Crime came and went, wasn't a big hit, and we all moved on, so let's move on to the next movie, and that is Kurt Russell and Kelly McGillis in Winter People.
McGillis, always into trouble, getting others into trouble, has to choose between the father of her child.
You tell me who the other one is.
And the man she loves.
I want to stay there.
Kurt Russell, Kelly McGillis, Winter People.
Would you believe me if I told you the same man that directed this movie would direct Weekend at Bernie's the same year? Yep, the director of this movie is the same man that would make one of the biggest surprise comedy hits of the year. But we'll get to that film when we get to that film. But although right here, this movie is about as dead as Bernie was in that movie. This was a lackluster movie. I mean, two very good actors, Kurt Russell and Kelly McGillis. Kelly McGillis coming off of The Accused at this point. But, yeah, it's a pretty forgettable movie. It's melodramatic. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Sometimes the visuals of the cinematography can look very nice, but other than that, yeah, it is pretty forgettable. So that's my quick review of Winter People. Just came and went like with Disorganized Crime, although Disorganized Crime had more to it than this movie did. Let's go to the last film, Under the Boardwalk.
For each of them, these are the moments that last a lifetime. Under the Boardwalk.
Directed by the same man that did Children of the Corn, produced by Roger Corman. This is about... It's about as generic as these type of movies are. It's always a movie about these kids during spring break or in the summer. They have to go to this big surf contest, all that kind of stuff. And that's really all about it, man. I mean, it is what it is. Like, if you've seen stuff like, if you've seen those hokey 60s beach movies from the ones that Frankie and Annette used to do. It's pretty much this, even though Frankie and Annette made a better beach parody movie around the same time, Back to the Beach, which I highly recommend checking out. That came out 2 years prior to this release, I mean. But, yeah. Another one that just came and went. Nobody really saw it. I watched it a little bit. Honestly, don't remember too much about it, but didn't leave much of a lasting impact with me, and not surprisingly, I don't think it did with many other people, so that's my quick thoughts on Under the Boardwalk. We got a lot on the cover today, so let's go ahead and get started with the first movie, the biggest new release of that weekend, Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
At the edge of the woods, behind the Creed's new house, is the old animal graveyard, the place where devoted pets are laid to rest.
Daddy, is church all right?
What is this place? I brought you here to bury Alan's cat.
I dreamed he got hit by a car and you and Mr. Crandall buried him.
Why, Judd? I have my reasons.
What did we do tonight, Judd?
What we did, Lois, was a secret. But some don't stay.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Paramount Pictures presents Stephen King's all-time best-selling tale of horror.
First I play with Judd. Mommy came and I play with Mommy. We had an awful good time.
What did you do?
I'm sorry, I know that was meant to be taken seriously, but could you tone it down a little bit, dude? I mean, I understand the situation in this movie, but come on, man. But, yeah, that's Pet Sematary for you. The original Pet Sematary, of course, Stephen King movie based off of one of his most popular novels. And, yeah, it's a little over the top. This movie has a lot of over-the-top dramatic moments like that. But it's kind of fun, too, and there's also a lot of creepy elements to it as well. Like, it has a lot of the combinations of what makes a good Stephen King movie. Like, there are some legitimately chilling, terrifying moments in this, but there are also very funny, silly, over-the-top moments in this, like that performance by the dad in this movie. But overall, yeah, it's a good, fun horror movie. Like, it's a really good, fun horror film. It is, like I said, it has those the balance between the serious stuff and the over-the-top silly moments. It's Stephen King movies doing what Stephen King movies usually do best in this type of situation. So, yeah, so that's the original Pet Sematary. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is, I can't remember it. Give me 1 second. Red Scorpion, starring Dolph Lundgren. No wonder I couldn't remember this one.
He fought for his country.
What the hell is this?
Now, Dolph Lundgren is taking off his gloves and taking on an entire army. One man at a time. Red Scorpion.
You know, for a movie that was the second highest grossing new release that came out this weekend, I didn't even know this movie even existed until I looked it up. But, really, it doesn't look all that promising. Red Scorpion, Dolph Lundgren coming up, one of his first movies coming off the success of Rocky IV. And, I mean, it looks silly. It looks silly enough. It looks like what you expect in this type of movie. Over the top, could be silly. And, you know, Dolph Lundgren, I'll give him credit, though. Dolph Lundgren does have a lot of promise in this movie, judging by the trailer here. So, I mean, it could go either way. I mean, he did have promise back then. He did show it off later on in something like in the Creed 2, where I thought he was one of the best things about that movie. So, maybe there's something here. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it, but that was the second highest grossing release that came out this weekend. So, moving on to the next movie, which is See You in the Morning, starring Jeff Bridges, Farrah Fawcett, and Alice Krige.
We have to have a talk.
What about?
Us? Now, there's an attractive woman. Beth! The woman is a saint, and a saint is the only kind of woman who'll have anything to do with you.
Yeah, I
make a dynamite spaghetti primavera. Friday night, my place, dinner. Does anybody here know how to make spaghetti primavera?
Why do you want to see my photograph?
Would you rather I requested a sample of your baking?
You said if we separated, we'd each find someone else and wind up happy.
Taxi! All I bring to you are rotten odds, lack of confidence, rotten batting average as a husband.
The difference between the first and second honeymoon is on the second one, you think a lot about your kids.
You, not my dog. Can't you see that my heart, my guts, my soul worth of all my head? It's crying out for you.
Just when you thought it couldn't happen again.
Let's shut out the world.
See you in the morning.
Yeah, tell me that one shot didn't look like something out of a horror movie. And that's Alice Krige, by the way, who was in Ghost Story. She was also in Sleepwalkers, and she was also the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact. So it wouldn't have put past me if that was a scene from a horror movie. But this is a straight-up romantic comedy, and it's honestly not a bad one either. I've only seen a little bit of it, but it's not bad. Like, I've seen worse. It doesn't... I think what does hold this together are those performances. You got Jeff Bridges, you got Farrah Fawcett, you got Alice Krige, you got a young Drew Brees. What is wrong with me? You got a young Drew Barrymore, you got Lucas Haas, Francis Sternhagen's also in this, George Hearn, and like I said, I've only seen a little bit of it. I haven't seen the whole thing, but it shows some promise to it. Like, I mean, it looks generic, but I think the performances stick out and save it from being a complete disaster. So that's my personal opinion on it. Like I said, I've only seen a little bit of it, but I mean, it wasn't bad from the little bit of footage that I saw. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and it's Speed Zone, aka Cannonball Fever.
Most has never been easy. But Americans have the kind of driving ambition to meet the challenge and live by the rules of the road. No tailgating. No littering.
My car.
No tipping.
You can be so cool.
Why, thank you. Mercy. No, wait a minute. What? On this road, there are no rules. Cannonball Fever.
So long, suckers!
Peter Boyle, Eugene Levy, Donna Dixon. Hello. John Candy. Hello. The Smothers Brothers, Joe Flaherty, Sherry Belafonte.
Aren't you?
Brooke Shields.
I got goosebumps.
Cannonball Fever.
So as you can tell, this is basically Cannonball Run 3, although they couldn't call it Cannonball Run 3. Some places they had to call it Cannonball Fever, but here in America it was called Speed Zone. It has pretty much the same concept as the other Cannonball Run movies. Just grab an ensemble cast of past and present celebrities, put them all together in a movie, and just let the comedy write itself. But I mean, Cannonball Run worked because of the magic of guys like Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise and Jackie Chan. This is by this point, it's like you've got recognizable talents here. You've got Peter Boyle, you've got Donna Dixon, John Candy, Brooke Shields, Eugene Levy, Tim Matheson, the Smothers Brothers, Sherry Belafonte, Joe Flaherty, Matt Frewer, Alyssa Milano, Carl Lewis, but there's nothing really funny for them to work off of. Like, it's just, most of the jokes are just kind of generic. You can kind of predict what the slapstick is going to be like, and it just doesn't have that same magic that the original Cannonball Run does. The Cannonball Run is a silly movie. I mean, it's a silly, over-the-top movie, but even by Cannonball Run 2, that shtick was getting old real fast. So, by this third one, yeah, there's just nothing really left there to be there. There's no meat left on the bone in terms of this. Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Cannonball Run getting remade nowadays. I think you can remake the original Cannonball Run, and you can make something out of it. But Speed Zone is definitely not the best in the series. Hard pass on that one. Now, even though this next movie was not a big success this weekend, which was only because it was in limited release, but it would eventually become one of the most popular movies of the year and one of the most iconic sports movies of all time. And I am, of course, talking about Field of Dreams.
Created something totally illogical.
That's what I like about it.
If you build it, he will come. If you
tickets. 2.
Who's your invoices?
Ray is. I think I know what "if you build it, he will come" means.
Ooh, why do I not think this is such a good thing?
I've never felt anything in my life. There's a reason.
Go the distance.
Did you hear the voice too? Did you hear it?
Go the distance.
Yes.
Our Graham is dead. He died in 1972.
Are you Moonlight Graham?
No one's called me Moonlight Graham in 50 years.
Unbelievable.
It's more than that. It's perfect.
But once was good.
Hey! Is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
Kevin Costner, Amy Madigan, James Earl Jones, Ray Liotta, Burt Lancaster. Sometimes, when you believe the impossible, the incredible comes true. Field of Dreams.
So Field of Dreams came out this weekend in limited release. It would go wide 2 weeks later on May 5th. And I really don't think I need to say anything more about Field of Dreams that hasn't been said already. It's one of the great baseball movies of all time. It's one of the great sports movies of all time. It's a great fantasy drama. Kevin Costner, I think, is great in this movie. Him and James Earl Jones are terrific. Very good cast in this movie all around. Amy Madigan, Ray Liotta playing Joe Jackson, Burt Lancaster, Timothy Busfield, then of 30-something. And it's just a really enjoyable movie. It's a really good movie. The visuals still hold up to this day. And like I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of baseball, but I do like a good amount of baseball movies like Major League, what we talked about a couple weeks ago, and this movie in particular. Yeah, it makes you cry. It makes grown men cry like a bitch. I mean, at the end of the movie, man, when he and his dad meet up again, just gets me every time, man. Gets me every time. So, yeah, I don't got much more to say about that one. Field of Dreams is a classic. I'd say see it if you haven't already, but most of you are probably already seen it. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is Jeff Daniels in Checkin' Out.
His best friend Pat did everything together.
I feel great. Like a jackrabbit. Why don't Italians have barbecues, huh?
So, when Pat checked out,
Call an ambulance. Who is this guy, anyway?
I don't know, but he sure screwed up my day.
Ray felt something he never felt before.
Haven't even buried him. They're scraping his name off the door.
Company policy, Ray, the hotel of life. You check out, they come in, they make up the room.
Symptoms. All his life. Ray never really thought about it.
Switch on the juice.
Now,
Tell me the truth, I can handle it.
You're healthy.
You're lying.
he can't think about anything else.
Headaches are often the first sign of a stroke.
Oh, Ray, won't it ever stop?
If he doesn't snap out of it soon,
You're gonna die, huh?
it's going to kill him.
What's wrong? My heart is beating. That's good. It's supposed to do that.
Checking Out.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those movies that could have worked maybe if it wasn't written like a sitcom, blown up for the big screen. Like maybe this would have been great as a TV series, but the fact that this is a 90-minute movie and the jokes are very stale, not really all that funny. I mean, it pretty much speaks. You pretty much see why it doesn't really work. I mean, Jeff Daniels can be really funny. He can be a really good, funny comedic actor. We've seen in movies after this, like Armageddon, Arachnophobia, and Dumb and Dumber. I will get it right. I will get this straightened out. Arachnophobia and Dumb and Dumber, along with other comedies like Trial and Error. He's not a bad comedic actor. It's just some of these movies that he picks are not specifically all that good. This one in particular is definitely one of them. But some notable things about this movie. Is it also stars Michael Tucker, then of L.A. Law. It's got Melanie Mayron. The writer of this is Joe Esterhaus, who would later go on to become known for films like Basic Instinct and Showgirls. Carter Burwell, who would later go on to do the scores for most of the Coen Brothers movies. That's the score here. And this is another one produced by George Harrison through his company, Handmade Films. I think we've already looked at one from a couple weeks back. I can't remember which one, though. But yeah, this one is another one that's quickly forgettable. So let's get on to the last movie. And the last movie is Teen Witch. Not Sabrina the Teenage Witch, just Teen Witch.
High school. It's supposed to be the time of your life.
How does she do that, James?
But for Louise Miller, high school was a living hell. From her first secret love
Just die.
to her first blind date.
Nobody wants to date you because you're a dog. A dog! A dog!
I'm David, Miranda's cousin. Ready?
My life is a walking, talking tragedy. I wish you would just leave me alone!
But just when nothing more could possibly go wrong,
It's you. You're one of us. Me? A witch?
something wonderful went right. Now she's possessed with special powers.
You can make anything happen. Break a leg, Kiki.
That are simply bewitching. Everybody dreams, but Louisa's dreams all come true.
Astra, Barbas, Tetragrammaton, Dios Ischinos Arthetos. What? It's a new U2 song.
Teen Witch.
I mean, even though this really isn't Sabrina the Teenage Witch, it's kind of like Sabrina the Teenage Witch in a way, but I mean, it is pretty much like that. And this movie has gone on to have like a big cult following over the years, thanks to ABC Family having it on during its 13 Nights of Halloween. HBO and Cinemax aired it a lot during the 90s, and it's garnered that cult following over the last couple of years. It's a very campy movie. Like, it's not good, it's not bad, it's a little too over the top for its own good, but in a way, it's nothing offensive. There's nothing offensive about it. And there are legitimately funny moments in here that took me off guard a couple of times, so it's not a complete waste of time. It's just not a movie that would interest me. I think this is more tailored to females and young girls, and they'll definitely get a kick out of it, but for me, I just thought it was alright. So that's my quick thoughts on Teen Witch. Weekend has a lot of copycat movies, movies that look similar to another movie, a more superior movie than the ones that we have here. Case in point with our first movie. This was the year where we had two movies with a comedic actor and a dog as police officers. Here's that movie, K9, with James Belushi.
They walk the mean streets of the city, protecting each and every one of us. Tough guys can't scare them. Rich men can't buy them. Absolutely nothing can stop them. Well, almost nothing.
Hey, didn't I tell you to go before we left the station? I need a real dog. Benji. Did you see how I found all those cubs?
They're the two toughest cops in town. One's just a little smarter than the other. James Belushi in Kino.
Jim Belushi gets kind of a bad rap because obviously he's not as good as his brother John Belushi, but I don't think he's that bad of a comedic actor. I think he can be really funny. If you ever watch him on SNL, he's very good at he has been very funny on that show. And there have been some other times where I've actually liked him as an actor. He's definitely not John Belushi, though. And I don't know if even John Belushi could probably make this work. I mean, this movie's not bad. There's just really nothing about it that makes it stand out, really. I mean, especially when you consider that a far superior movie about a cop and a dog working together came out later this summer with Turner and Hooch. But for what this is, it's passable. It has some funny moments once or twice, but nothing really to make it stand out on its own. So overall, I thought it was alright, but nothing too spectacular. So let's move on to the next movie. Gary Oldman and Kevin Bacon in Criminal Law.
This was a horrible crime. A tragedy for those involved. In order to prevent another tragedy, you need only decide whether the right man stands accused of the crime.
Sometimes the innocent are punished.
He used to be a good prosecutor.
So now I'm a good defender. I just switched teams.
This time, the guilty was set free. Free to kill again.
He did it last year, last week, last night, and he will do it again soon if he isn't stopped.
Gary Oldman.
I'm representing him again, so I can find something that'll hang him.
Kevin Bacon.
smell of the rain. In a motion picture that will shock you beyond a reasonable doubt.
I had that animal locked up. And I let him out to kill again.
Criminal Law.
Directed by Martin Campbell, who would later go on to revitalize the James Bond franchise twice, as well as Zorro. And featuring Gary Oldman looking like Timothy Hutton. But, I mean, I haven't seen this movie before. This is actually my first time knowing that it even existed, because I saw that Gary Oldman and Kevin Bacon were in it. And this was right when Gary Oldman's popularity was beginning to peak after he starred in such films as Sid and Nancy and Prick You Up Your Ears. But, looks just basically kind of like a generic crime thriller. And I think a movie like Primal Fear actually did this a lot better, just about 7 years later, with Richard Gere and Edward Norton. But, yeah, from what I see here, it's got some potential. It looks like the acting could probably save it from being a generic movie, but above a generic crime thriller. But overall, it doesn't look like anything too spectacular or anything. I probably won't rush out to see this one, but like I said, it doesn't look too bad. So let's move on to the next movie.
Randy Voter delivers pizza.
Senior pizza. Senior pizza.
It's about time.
At least that's what his boss thinks.
Hey, Bolton, you're really quite a popular guy, aren't you?
Patrick Dempsey, Kate Jackson, Carrie Fisher, Barbara Carrera, Kirstie Alley, Loverboy.
So it's basically a generic porno movie, except there's no porn in here. I mean, that's pretty much what this looks like. Loverboy with Patrick Dempsey, then coming off of Can't Buy Me Love. You also have Carrie Fisher, Kate Jackson, and Kirstie Alley in here. And like I said, it looks like they take the concept of a generic porn flick, where you have it with the sexy lady ordering a pizza from somebody, and turns out they have a love affair. They just took the sex out, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's like more mainstream. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it, but it looks kind of generic. It looks like kind of a mediocre movie. And this poster and this trailer make Patrick Dempsey look way too younger than the women that he's sleeping with. I mean, he was only 23 when this movie came out, so it makes sense, but I don't know, it looks weird. Like, it doesn't click right, in my opinion. So that's just my thinking on it. So that's Loverboy. So anyway, on to the next movie. And remember I said we had duplicate movies, a couple of them coming out this weekend, of other movies that came out later in the year. Here's what we got before Shocker, The Horror Show.
Nobody's going to miss Max Janke, especially Detective Lucas McCarthy.
Glad you could make it, Cop.
He was born bad and stayed that way. Nobody's going to miss Max Janke.
We sent 50,000 volts of juice through that scum. Looks pretty dead to me, Professor.
Because he hasn't gone anywhere.
Lucas, I'm coming back to tear your world apart.
If you thought Freddy was a howl,
Funny thing happened to me on the way to the studio today.
and Jason was a scream,
I got a present for you.
wait till you meet Max.
Not even close.
He's a cut above the rest. The Horror Show.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to trust a movie where their villain sounds like a nerd laughing evilly. I mean, listen to this again. Can you really take that seriously as your antagonist? I don't think so, but like I said, Shocker, I think, did this kind of better. Shocker wasn't that great of a movie, but at least Shocker had Wes Craven behind it. At least he had an idea of what he was trying to do with this concept of a convicted killer returning from the dead. This just looks silly after watching this trailer. It looks like a really silly movie. Not up to my speed, so yeah, just skip that one. Just watch Shocker. We'll talk about that when we get to that one down the road later in the year. Anyway, on to the next movie.
Christine Keeler was 18.
Mandy Rice Davies was 16. 1 year after they met, they brought down a government. Scandal is absolutely riveting, as juicy as its headline, says Rex Reed.
You have never made love until you've made love in a gondola.
2 thumbs up. One of the best films of the year, say Siskel and Ebert. And Bruce Williamson in Playboy calls Scandal hot. A teasing mix of sex and politics. And Newsweek calls it mischievous, elegant, and delicious. The story that seduced the world is now the most controversial film of the year. Scandal.
Can't really comment on this one because I've never heard of it before, but it's got a decent cast to it. John Hurt, Joanne Whalley, Ian McKellen, Bridget Fonda, directed by Michael Canton-Jones. It looks promising enough. That's all I got on that one. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen it before, so I can't really comment on it. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and the last movie is Miss Firecracker, starring Holly Hunter.
You and only 5 of you will make it to the final pageant. And only 1 of those 5 will be crowned Miss Firecracker.
All her life, Carnell Scott had a dream.
I'd like to register as a contestant for the contest.
You would? She wasn't really beautiful.
Well, I certainly hope you don't think I'm ugly looking like some dumb bullfrog of yours.
She wasn't very talented.
I mean, she actually thinks she's tap dancing. She's just clomping her feet around.
She had a crazy family. And a bad reputation.
I go to church now. People aren't calling me Miss Hot Tamale anymore. Everything's changed.
Miss Firecracker, starring Holly Hunter, Academy Award nominee for Broadcast News. Scott Glenn, star of Urban Cowboy and The Right Stuff. Academy Award winner Mary Steenburgen. Tim Robbins, star of Bull Durham. And Academy Award nominee Alfre Woodard. Written by the Oscar-nominated and Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Beth Henley.
Nice night, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As nice as they come.
Miss Firecracker.
So yeah, you got a pretty good cast in this. Holly Hunter, of course, can usually do no wrong. Scott Glenn, Mary Steenburgen, Tim Robbins, Alfre Woodard. This is directed by Thomas Schlamm, who his film track record is not as good, but his TV track record is amazing. This is a guy that directed several episodes of The West Wing. He also directed several episodes of other TV shows. Does a lot of work with Aaron Sorkin. He did a lot of work on Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip and Sports Night. Also did The Americans, Alan McBeal, Friends, ER. Just a great track record with this guy. And this movie itself looks pretty promising enough. Like I said, his track record as a film director is not the greatest, but this looks pretty promising. Like I said, I really like Holly Hunter. I like a lot of her movies that she's in. I think she usually does give 110% with every movie that she's in, no matter how bad the movie is. And this looks like no exception. This looks like a movie that definitely looks like she's really into this role. And like I said, this has a good cast to it. The writer of this also wrote the script for Places in the Heart, which won Sally Field the Oscar a few years back. But, like I said, I haven't seen it before, but it looks promising enough. It looks pretty interesting. That's my quick thoughts on that one. So, Miss Firecracker looks promising enough. Might check it out someday.